What is up, LvLUp Nation, and welcome to the Thursday, March 25th edition of LvLUp Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John, and that dude bobbing his head to that amazing music, that's the king of the courtside. You can address him as Courtside King or Joey. Joey, what's up, buddy?
John, doing well. Guys, welcome to episode what feels like 229.5. We had a lot of issues with Discord on Tuesday's episode, but we're back. We're ready to go, John. We got a slew of new topics, and I'm excited for tonight's show.
Yeah, and hopefully Discord isn't like a major topic tonight, like you said, Joey. Because it happened to be one of the topics we were going to talk about, that we did talk about on Tuesday's show, but it got a little more attention than it probably should have gotten because of those issues. But Nation, there's some great options you have out there. For whatever reason, Livestream decides just to go all bad. Well, I was trying to think of something witty, but I couldn't think of anything. There is a podcast version, but if you're going to follow the podcast version, you might as well be following the show on social media while you're at it. So make sure you do follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at LvLUp Live. That is at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, follow Joey and myself, your favorite hosts. I mean, obviously, you're watching / listening to the show, so you might as well give us a follow as well. Find Joey at Courtside King, myself at Fiasco. And if you're watching here live on Twitch, those handles are below those mugshots you're currently staring at. And if you listen to the podcast version down the road, they'll be in the show notes for you below. And Nation, I teased about it a little bit. There is the podcast version of the show. For whatever reason, you can't make the live stream here on Twitch. If you can't interact with us in chat, we do re-chat throughout the entire stream. It adds a little flavor and spice to the show. But let's say maybe you're busy on a Monday night. Maybe you're busy on a Thursday night. You want to catch the show later up down the road? That's fine. We have a podcast version for you. The LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you're going to be listening to the podcast version, you should leave us a review. Really short, sweet, to the point, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, nothing less than 3-star. Otherwise, we'll block you. I'm joking. We're not going to block anybody. But leave us reviews. Reviews to go a long way to help create the show to what you, our listeners and viewers, want. So feedback is always appreciated. All right, Joey, happy Friday Eve. It is Thursday, which means we have some amazing topics to talk about on today's show. Joey, what are we talking about today on the 25th?
Absolutely, John. The skies look clear today. We might run into a little bit of turbulence later down the line, but for the most part, we have smooth sailing here throughout the topics. We're talking about Nintendo or former Nintendo president Reggie stepping down from GameStop. It looks like that will be the direction he takes, and we'll dive into that. We're talking a couple new partnerships, and then from there, diving into Rocket League heading to mobile phones, Sony working on a Ghost of Tsushima movie, the Future Game Show that happened today, as well as the ID at Xbox Twitch Gaming Show happening tomorrow, a couple updates for games, Dota 2 updates, banning Smurf accounts, and much more.
Banning Smurf accounts? That's not good. Joey, we have some amazing topics, but we can't even start on them until we get to our drink of choice, and I just realized I am very underprepared for this segment. My time management skills prior before the show was not utilized efficiently, and I do apologize for that. Joey, it is time for the drink of choice. I'm going to need you to carry this one. What is your beverage, please?
John, I'm running it back from Tuesday. We are trying the new DC Brow partnership with the Washington Justice, Sip of Justice once again. Thanks to Discord, we didn't get to quite describe it all the way I would have liked to, so I brought it back up. Guys, it is a lager, 4.5% alcohol by volume, and go ahead and check out these beautiful logos. A little Washington Monument action. You got that Justice font on the front and then the Capitol over here on the side. And last but not least, it's hard to see on the camera, but check out the stars once again for those who weren't here on Tuesday. Slight little imprint. John, I love this can. I love the taste of this lager. I think they did a wonderful job with this one.
I'm glad you got the monuments right this time instead of on like you did
I know.
Tuesday.
Okay, guys, for those who weren't here on Tuesday, I was looking through my camera on Discord here and I said the Capitol. Then when I actually looked at it, or I said the White House, when I actually looked at it, I was like, nope, that's the Capitol. It was embarrassing. Then Discord cut out. I couldn't even correct myself. It was a mess, but we are back today. We got the can once again. And what are you drinking, sir?
It was fantastic. Joey, because I am not prepared, it is a Mountain Dew Major Melon. It is soda. It is pink Mountain Dew is what it is. There's no alcohol in it whatsoever. My bar is literally right there. If you're watching here on Twitch, that is camera left. It's literally there. It's right. Didn't grab it. I failed. I'm sorry. At least it's not water, though. Joey, you have your beverage. I have my Mountain Dew. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let's kick it off with former Nintendo of America president Reggie choosing to step down from GameStop, according to VGC. He's been on the board since, I want to say he joined like late March, early April of 2020. So about a year's worth of time over there. With everything going on with GameStop right now, John, I think I understand this decision. That stock has been absolutely insane. It's tough to tell exactly what investors want because Reddit is playing such a strong role in how that stock is really moving around right now in the market. So as Reggie is someone who is now retired, moving on from Nintendo into retirement, he was looking at ways to offer advice and help out the gaming community, different corporations and such. He didn't expect all this. He didn't expect for GameStop to be in the news every single day when anything stock related comes up. He didn't expect the onslaught of questions and people looking into GameStop and looking into Reddit and all these other things. That's not how a retired man wants to live. So it looks like he will be taking his talents elsewhere, at least for now, stepping down from GameStop. I think it's probably a decent move for him. That's not exactly how I'd want to spend retirement either.
Oh, worrying about your stock fluctuating from $8 to over $400, back down to $80 and back up to $200, all within a month time span. Yeah, are you saying that that's not good for the older generations out there? Maybe there are some health concerns. Joey, I fully get it. It makes sense. I definitely agree. It's not the way you want to spend retirement unless you're kind of like one of those adrenaline like stock market junkies and you love watching this, roll up and down, up and down, up and down. Joey, the whole GameStop thing, I mean, it's been an absolute roller coaster in the stock market, or the stonk market, if you will. It went to the moon, it came crashing back down, and then it left orbit again. It's been a wild ride for GameStop. There's still a lot of questions, like you said, around what in the world GameStop's gonna do, since it feels like the entire world is going digital. There's really no need for physical games anymore, unless you want a physical copy for whatever reason. It's kind of like books, like Joe, you remember when the Kindle popped up out of nowhere and bookstores were like, oh, Kindles will never replace books. And now bookstores are like, oh, we can hardly stay open. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with GameStop. So I get it. It makes sense for him to step down. Is this too volatile? It's not in a good state right now for GameStop.
It's just in a tough spot to get feedback. Like usually you look toward the market. How are investors taking our recent sales reports? We had this big partnership with Microsoft in the fall. We got all these Surface tablets. We get more percentage for selling Xboxes. That's great. The market reacted well. They're like, okay, let's keep looking at different things like this. Now you're at this point where the market is going up and down regardless of what GameStop is doing. So from a board member perspective, from someone looking at the numbers, yeah, you can analyze the sales numbers, and that's probably the most important part. But the stock of a public company also being a huge part as well. It makes the job a lot harder when there's so many outside forces affecting it in ways that a stock in general has really not been affected too much before. So yeah, I think it's a good move from Reggie. I don't think he's done with gaming. I think he'll probably still be around helping out charity boards for sure, if not other corporations. But for now, moving on from GameStop sounds like the way he's going. Microsoft has partnered with Swedish carrier Telia to promote cloud gaming to customers in EU. I don't think we really need to touch on this one too much, John, overall. I believe it was SK Telecom they partnered with in South Korea. That's helped kind of roll out cloud gaming and xCloud down there in that particular country. Now looking toward Europe, how can we continue to expand in Europe? One of the ways they're looking at doing that is with Swedish carrier Telia here. It's one way to bundle the services together. Maybe you get a new phone from Telia, or maybe you up your plan, or you go with an unlimited plan. And with that, you get maybe Game Pass included, or a few months of Game Pass included, which will allow you to cloud stream on that phone as well. Sweden being one of those kind of forward front thinkers in the area of 5G as well. So it allows for a little bit more of those high-speed connections for cloud gaming. And again, another way for Xbox to continue to push its brand forward in Europe. I think it's a good partnership. I don't know if we have to dive too much into this one in particular, though.
No, pretty much. I mean, this is going to be your only Xbox topic this entire episode. I expect zero more topics on Xbox. Let me just check the notes real quick. That wish will not come true, Joey. You may continue.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing here. So no other partnership news on that one, but one to keep track of. Again, SK Telecom was their first partnership down there in South Korea. Now you have Telia here up in Sweden. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more European-based partnerships as well. A month or so ago, John, we mentioned on the show that Xbox Party Chat and free-to-play multiplayer games will no longer require Xbox Live. Well, now Xbox Live is no longer a thing. It's Xbox Network. On top of that, those changes have now begun to roll out to testing rings as well, and they should be available for all players in the coming weeks. This is something that needed to happen. We've talked about this before. If you have a game like Fortnite that is free to play, why should someone have to pay for a subscription like Xbox Live? I believe PlayStation already offered these games for free, but on the case of PlayStation, PlayStation Plus, why would you have to pay for these things if it's a free game? Now Xbox finally reversing decisions on this, saying, hey, we're going to get with the times. We're going to make these free, and Party Chat being included with it. Again, I think it's a good move by Xbox, but it's a move that needed to be made one way or another.
Yeah, it's nice to know that Microsoft can follow in the footsteps of Sony and PlayStation there of allowing people to play free-to-play games for free without an internet access pass, if you will, for that platform. It's nice of Microsoft to come to the times, Joey.
I mean, Sony also invented cross-platform play,
of course,
and backwards compatibility and all that, right? Yeah, it is an interesting one, but I feel like this was a move that needed to be made. The way they announced it was after they gave that preliminary Xbox Live double price hike thing that they ended up reversing. That was a bad decision overall, and announcing this ended up being a little earlier than they were expecting. Now is the time we see it rolling out. Again, I think it's a good move. Not really too much needs to be elaborated on here. I'm hoping, John, that it's something leading to something later down the line, like maybe the elimination of Xbox Live Gold altogether at some point, but I think we're still a while away from that. Rocket League is headed to mobile devices with Rocket League Sideswipe coming to iOS and Android later this year. It is said to provide a unique arcade-style action. John, I don't know about you, but I feel like Rocket League is one of those games that could play well on a mobile device. At the same point, I'm wondering how they're going to do controls. Like if it's touch controls with like a virtual analog stick, or if we see it based on like tap controls. I think that's my biggest question mark for this overall. But as far as the IP of Rocket League, I could see that being a pretty cool mobile game, especially if you speed up the pace a little bit to make the games a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a combination of a virtual analog stick for direction and then tapping in sense of like maybe boost usage and maybe swiping a certain direction on the screen if you want to do like a power slide. I feel like it's going to be a combination of both, but really this has the possibility of helping bring mobile controllers to the forefront. It's something that we've talked about a little bit here on the show here and there, but the idea of portable game controllers for your phone, you know, maybe it looks a little bit like a Nintendo Switch setup where you have your phone horizontal in between two controllers. You have like something like two Joy-Cons there with buttons. There's a lot of different controllers out there. I feel like this is just going to be another way to kind of push that idea that, hey, yes, you know, if you're a mobile gamer and you're on a road trip or you're commuting to work or you're whatever, and you're sitting on your phone, let's say you're sitting on the airplane. You're sitting on your airplane. You have it downloaded on your phone. Maybe you have an offline mode, or maybe your airline has internet that allows you to game on it. You know, you can whip out a small controller for your phone and you can play video games. And it's a great thing. You know, this is just going to be a game that's only going to help further advance that technology for mobile games, really. I'm excited for it. I enjoy playing Rocket League on the computer. I've played it on PlayStation as well, played it on Xbox. It is fun no matter what platform you play it on. And I think this arcade style coming to mobile devices is going to be just as fun and entertaining for the mobile gamers out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. From the look of it, it's going to be like a side camera angle. So instead of like the I don't even know what you call it, like directly behind car is one of the camera angles. The other one is the ball cam angle. It looks like neither of them will be in play here on the mobile. More of like a, going with the name Sideswipe, a side view type of thing of all four cars. So it does look like a 2v2 game, at least from the alpha gameplay we've seen so far. I'm curious to see how that is going to translate again, control-wise. It could be that virtual analog stick. It could be, I mean, honestly, more like clicking and swiping. I would hope there's a little bit more mechanicalness to it. And I like, John, your idea of the virtual analog stick being involved in that, or a controller, because that does allow the player to play a little bit more skill-based as opposed to just purely tapping. So I'm curious to see how that all translates. I think it will be a free game as well, the way Psyonix is kind of moving in that direction. But another thing to keep an eye on there. Anything else to say about Rocket League Sideswipe before it hits phones later on this year? I will take that as a no, good sir, and we're going to move on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was a question directed towards me. My apologies.
Oh, no, it's directed toward chat, because chat's bumping over here at the moment.
Totally bumping.
Yes. A little bit quieter here on tonight's Thursday episode, but that does not mean this next topic will be quiet. Sony Pictures is developing a Ghost of Tsushima movie with John Wick's Chad, I believe it's Stileski, directing the show as well. Or directing the movie as well, excuse me. So Ghost of Tsushima overall has sold 6.5 million copies since launch of the game. In addition to that, Sucker Punch, the people behind it, are looking at producing and overseeing as executive producers for this upcoming movie as well. John, I can't say I was the biggest fan of the John Wick series of movies. At the same point, I think the IP of Ghost of Tsushima has a very promising premise to be adapted into a movie.
Yeah, I think Ghost of Tsushima has great possibilities there. I too have not really been a big fan of John Wick, let alone any of the movies. So I would hope it would adapt a little bit better. It's such a rich story with so many possibilities. But again, disclaimer thrown out there for any time we talk about video games going to Hollywood. It terrifies me because of Hollywood's track record. Yes, there have been some anomalies of things being good out of Hollywood when it comes to video game movies or TV shows, but their track record still stands. It's been an absolute nightmare. They did avoid one major disaster with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. We all remember what Sonic looked like prior to the fans crying out on social media, telling them that this is like the most terrifying hedgehog they've ever seen in their life. They went back, they took the human teeth out and made it more like Sonic from the video games. And that game, that movie actually did pretty well. So I would actually chalk that movie up under the win category for Hollywood and video game movies. But I do have to put that disclaimer out there because the track record is just so bad. The possibility for this movie, for a Ghost of Tsushima movie, being on that good list, if you will, I feel like there's a high probability it will. There's so much possibility with it. And when it comes to like that kind of genre, Hollywood's done it before. Like they have experience with that kind of genre of movie. So there's a lot of high expectations for this, and I think they can actually pull this one off.
It's one of those things, and just a disclaimer, I have not played through Ghost of Tsushima. I've seen a lot of streams on it. I myself have not played through it, but I feel like overall, John, that game is more, I'm going to say filmic or cinematic. It doesn't really feel like something that people would clarify as like a video game. It's more like playing through a movie, playing through an art piece, playing through a masterpiece of samurai history in a sense. So I feel like in that idea, this could really be translated much cleaner than some of the other video game movies we've seen adapted.
No, 100% agree. And that's part of the reason why certain video games that have that more cinematic feel to it do so well and create such a diehard fan base. Like Metal Gear Solid, probably one of the first popular game titles out there that really utilize that cinematic aspect in their video games. You still had challenging levels, but you also had like 8-9 hours of cinematics built into the game. And if you're not invested in the story, you're not going to play the game. Like Joe, I remember on the original PlayStation, I actually still have it actually signed by the voice actor for Solid Snake. My original PlayStation CD and CD cases, it was a dual CD set. It was 2 CDs. Like it was unheard of for PlayStation 1. And there was one point where you're going through the underbelly of Shadow Moses. You're crawling along these sewer pipes. You get to the door, and then all of a sudden the screen goes black and goes, "Please insert disc number 2." Because it had that much cinematic on it. Like it was such a great story. Life is Strange, all that entire series, same thing. It's a cinematic game where yes, you play the main character, you play the character and their responses and how they handle situations, and that plays out how the cinematics go. It is such a unique, immersive way to game. It's not your typical single game player, but those are the kind of games that can translate well to Hollywood. And I really wish Hollywood would see that, because you give me a Life is Strange series, I think a lot of people would be really excited for that. You give me something like a Metal Gear Solid movie, I guarantee you people would be super excited for that. Same thing with Ghost of Tsushima. Anything that is cinematic based, I feel like would be easier for Hollywood to kind of make into a TV series or a movie and have that possibility of really having success. I mean, can you just imagine how well, take Star Wars, for example. Okay, we're talking like the hype of Star Wars. Even if you hate the prequels and if you hate the Disney trilogy, they still did incredibly well. Can you imagine if a video game did like a as well as those bad movies, if you will, in Star Wars, like that would be a major success. So I feel like this is the time to do it. This is the time, if you're going to make video games into a movie, do it now. Marvel, absolutely popular in the movie theaters. DC, blowing it away. A 4-hour cut. I haven't watched it yet, Joey, but like people really love it or hate it. But this is nerdum. Like nerd is mainstream right now. This is the time to bring more video game content to Hollywood.
Not only that, like Marvel and Star Wars doing so well, but video games in general right now are just popping off. It feels like every single company is setting records. Every other week, it feels like we're talking about a new Steam record being broken. So many people are playing games right now. The Nintendo Switch has been, I think, the best selling console for like 30-something months at this point, it feels like. It is just popping off. The whole industry, entertainment in general, but video games especially, like John said, definitely a good time to try it. And again, I think Ghost of Tsushima, being that more artsy style game, has real potential here to pop off. Moving forward to the future game show, that was today, John, and I actually had no idea until I got a notification on Twitter that it was happening, and I really didn't get to watch too much of it. If you guys do want to check that out, there was a lot of stuff shown. I believe there was actually a new Life is Strange trailer shown as well, John, for the new game True Colors. Yeah, I don't know if it's a new trailer or not, but they had a bunch of new trailers, and that was one of the games that was featured. Martha is Dead is a horror game that a lot of people are looking forward to. That was shown. Humankind, we got a new trailer for. Kenna Bridge of Spirits, the PlayStation exclusive and also Epic Game Store exclusive. I think it was supposed to come out in the spring. It's been moved to the fall. That one got a new trailer as well. Super cute looking game. Really cool graphically as well. What else is on here? Oh, Elite Dangerous. This is one of the ones I did tune in for. This is really cool. So I've never played Elite Dangerous. It's a Starship game, huge map, absolutely ginormous. I don't even think people can get to every planet within a lifetime or something. It's that big. They're now adding the ability to walk on planets that are not like gaseous. So planets that a human, I believe they're all humans in the game, would be able to go on and actually walk on. They're adding the ability to walk and use tools and shoot guns and different things like that. So it's going to be a huge update. I believe it's called Odyssey, if I remember correctly, is the name of the update. And it should be coming to PC later this spring and then consoles in the fall. So that was definitely really cool to look forward to. But yeah, if you guys want to check out more of the future game show, unfortunately, John and I not able to tune into it today, but there are a lot of trailers, a lot of news, and a lot of cool things to go ahead and check out with that show. Again, it did happen today, which is March 25th for those listening to the podcast later down the line. Anything else you want to say on that? I assumed you did not watch it. I'm assuming that's correct.
Yeah, you are correct. Work today, unfortunately, was not very kind to me, so I did not have a whole lot of free time today. But Joey, I will guarantee you one thing: after this show is done, I am watching that Life is Strange True Colors.
I hope
video.
It's a new trailer. I think it might be.
It is. So okay. It's a developer presentation, and it looks like it's going to dive into Alex's powers. So she has that power of empathy, if you will, being able to read other people's emotions and being able to make decisions off of those emotions. So it looks like they dive into that just based upon the short little blurb above the video here in this article on Games Radar. So I will definitely check that out after the show, and who knows? Well, maybe we'll talk about it on Monday.
Maybe we will. So again, guys, you can find all those trailers. The article John and I are looking at is gamesradar.com. They have every announcement listed out with the trailers and what was shown. Definitely go ahead and check that out. We have another kind of indie-style gameplay showcase coming later this week, and that is tomorrow, Friday, March 26th. The Idea at Xbox/Twitch Gaming Showcase is set to air tomorrow. This one's going to focus on over 100 indie games. They're going to be included, but at different volumes of each. Overall, you're going to see about 25 in-depth previews. That can include new trailers, developer interviews, maybe some gameplay shown as well for about 25 of those 100 games. What we know will be coming, so some of the devs that have come out and said they will be there. We have Drinkbox Studios. They are showing off a new, never-before-seen game. I believe they're most known for Guacamelee, which was a super popular game out there. Curve Digital, Devolver Digital, with one of the most unique presentations, it feels like, ever whenever they come to a stage. Dear Villagers, and more. Some of the games we're going to see are Second Extinction, The Ascent, The Wild at Heart, Void Train, Exo 1, Stalker 2, and more. There are a couple other games that were teased, though, John. If you look at the Twitch gaming graphic that they put out for this showcase on Friday, the Gunk was pictured in 12 minutes. Hades and a snowboard game, Shredder, is on there, along with a few others. It has been confirmed that Hades will not be shown, but nothing was said on these other particular games. 12 minutes, you remember back, I think it was 2019 at an Xbox showcase. It's a game by Annapurna Interactive where it's pretty much taking place over 12 minutes that are a time loop. And the whole game takes place inside of an apartment with like a top-down view. Really, really cool looking indie game. It's kind of got like a mystery feel to it. People have been wanting it for years. It's one of those like most highly anticipated indie games out there. Definitely looking forward to that one, and I hope we see this in the showcase. And the other one I'm really looking forward to is the Gunk, if it's actually shown. The game looks gorgeous. It's all about kind of like cleaning up a planet with this like high-powered glove where you find all this like blackish purple ooze that is around. No one really knows what's going on. So it has a little bit of a mystery survival aspect to it, as well as kind of that environmental cleaning aspect as well. So those are two games I'm looking forward to, along with some of these other ones like Stalker 2, as well as all of the games we have no idea of these 100 that will be shown. I'm excited, John. I need to see some more excitement. Give me like a hoo-yah. And he stares into the camera for listening to the podcast. I'm super stoked. I know you love indie games as much as me. It's a cool time for indie developers to get out there and make their game known. They're not like a God of War or a Ghost of Tsushima or a Halo or a Gears of War. These are games that sometimes will fly under the radar, but can be absolutely awesome, made by smaller teams in many cases, not getting that AAA Naughty Dog 343 coalition style budget, but instead finding ways to make games happen as maybe one developer, two developers, a small party of 10 to 15 developers, maybe a little bit bigger than that. But overall, typically these indie developers, smaller in size, but definitely some gems that can be found in the rough.
Hoo-yah.
I don't know. Oh, quiet down over there. Speaking of indie games, guys, if you haven't tried it, I've mentioned on the show before, but one of my big ones of last year was Call of the Sea. It is available on Game Pass for console and PC. It's kind of let's say a puzzle-based game, very much trying to solve puzzles to advance on. Mystery involved, a little bit of thriller action too. Really, really pretty visuals that change from level to level. And some really cool mechanics that unlock based on the puzzles. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Call of the Sea, again, it's out from Out of the Blue Games, I believe, and then posted by Raw Fury as the publisher. Definitely one to look at from 2020. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that showcase happening on Friday. Moving on to a couple other gaming announcements here. A spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. John, I don't know if we ever played Left 4 Dead together. I played a lot of it in college. It was quite a bit of fun. Back 4 Blood from Turtle Rock Studios has delayed its release to October 12th, 2021. Kind of that spiritual successor of Left 4 Dead. It even looks like the title is very similar as well. That one now coming out later on in the fall. Then we have Housemarque's PlayStation exclusive Returnal going golden as well this week. They're set to launch now on April 30th. A few of the PlayStation games, I believe Ratchet & Clank and Housemarque's Returnal, kind of got little delays that never got publicly announced. They just never actually had full release dates. They were said to be releasing in the launch window of the PS5, which Sean and I have clarified before that sometimes that launch window can be 1 month, sometimes 3 months, or in the case of PlayStation here, almost 6 months out. But in the end, 2020 brought a lot of delays, 2021 bringing delays again. It looks like Returnal will dodge a couple of them as it's still set to come out this spring.
I mean, Joey, with COVID and everything, like that launch window, I think that they could justify a launch window of being up like over like a year or more.
For real.
I mean, really, show of hands here real quick, live here on, because you can totally see hands. How many people have actually gotten one of the new gen consoles? I know, Joey, you were lucky enough to get the S, but I haven't had any luck getting any of the new generation consoles. I am not alone in that struggle. They have had production issues because of coronavirus. It's helped shut production down. So I feel like, launch window, I feel like setting a launch window for the launch of this current generation, I almost feel bad, like trying to say, oh, well, normally it's 3 months. Oh, but now they're going to say 6. How dare they? I kind of feel like they have every right to be like, this is like a 1 year launch window to try to get this stuff out, because let's be real here. Who knows? 12 months after the start of their launch, will they have been able to manufacture the same amount of consoles that they would have if this was a normal non-pandemic era in human history? It's a big, gigantic question mark, and I feel like that's something that we as gamers, obviously gamers are a very understanding group in the most part, unless you put PlayStation against Xbox. But I feel like a lot of gamers understand. We've been very accepting of delays that we've seen from other studios, and I feel like when it comes to a launch window, I feel like that's going to be, and other delays too, that it's just going to be part of what we're going to have to deal with for at least the next year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounded like chips were originally going to come back a little bit production-wise in the summer, but now with the latest updates, it sounds like that's now being pushed to the fall, and I would not be surprised to really even see that pushed into 2022 at this point. So we'll keep an eye on that with AMD stock and NVIDIA stock as well for other purposes when it comes to PC gaming. But yeah, we'll give them a break here. We'll give Housemarque, we'll give PlayStation a break. I think Returnal is one of the better looking games coming out toward the initial launch of PS5. It has a bit of a I don't even know how to describe it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthem in like some of the mechanical sense of the third person view, some of the way the gun interactions do end up working. And there are certain points throughout with it being a thriller based game that it does switch into first person view as well. In one of the trailers they showed, I think it was back in February, you go to this point where you're opening a door and then it switches from third person to first person view. Part of it for the cutscene animation, part of it to continue playing on forward as well. So it's going to have some unique instances like that. On top of that, it does have a little bit of that thriller mystery aspect to it. Trying to figure out certain things within the game always allows gamers to dive deeper into the story. And I think it will be a good grab for a lot of PS5 gamers, those who are able to secure that console. And I want to say it is dropping on PS4 as well for other PlayStation gamers too.
What's a PS5, Joey? I haven't seen one of those.
Oh my gosh. Well, John, it's about as prominent right now as the PS3 store.
Ow. Joey.
I mean, for real, it is so hard to find these next-gen consoles right now. PS5, Xbox Series X, it almost feels like they're a little bit of a mirage in stores nowadays. Like you'll see one pop up on Target or Best Buy or Amazon. You'll go click to put it in the cart. You're like, oh, yes, I got one in my cart. You click checkout, and it's like, this item is no longer in your cart. And you're like, what? Where did it go? It was just there. And I feel like that's just the common issue we're hearing between family members and friends and listeners of the show. Everyone trying to go out and get these consoles, whether it be the Xbox Series X or S, the PlayStation 5. Maybe you're even looking at last gen, which is now limited because they've stopped production on that even. So it's one of those interesting things for a lot of people looking at the console market right now where it's not easy whatever direction you go. Hopefully, like John said, we do see more PS5s and Xboxes distributed throughout the year. Didn't like my PlayStation 3 store comment.
that was unnecessary.
Unnecessary. But you know what is necessary, John? Some of these game delays happening this year. One of them is now going to be covered, and that's Amplitude Studios' Humankind. It did get shown today in the Future Game Show, but we also recently got shown that it's being delayed. It is moving to a release date of August 17th, 2021. Again, we're going to cover more delays this year. They're not over. There's some big games still to be delayed. I have a feeling in the near future. There's going to be some other ones that maybe come out a little bit sooner than people expected as well. But overall, delays are going to happen. And after the Cyberpunk release of 2020, in that late December release, after a couple delays even, it was a buggy mess on certain systems. PC had played pretty well overall, but there were still some bugs. Xbox Series X and PS5 did get quite a few of those bugs. And Xbox One and PS4, it looked like a blobby mess, to be honest, kind of like what you might see in a kindergarten painting. So it's one of those things that I'm totally okay with these things being delayed at this point. Like, hey, if you need another 6 months, if you even need another year like a Halo Infinite or an Elden Ring, feel free to take your time, make it graphically nice, clean it up, polish it, get rid of the bugs, and allow me a great experience on day one, even if I have to wait longer to play it initially.
I mean, Joey, that's kind of a compliment for kindergarten painting if they're as good as a video game developer. That's I don't
know. You see some of those Cyberpunk Xbox One shots? Like, holy moly.
I don't know how, I don't know. So full disclosure, my mom teaches kindergarten still. and I've had the opportunity pre-COVID to kind of see where the art skill is for this next generation. Joey, I'm not hopeful. Lines don't exist anymore. I don't ever remember being that bad, but apparently lines don't exist anymore. We'll leave it there.
I'm sure your mother has some of your old kindergarten stuff. Like, I would love to see the way you used to write the alphabet or something like that. That would be pretty darn funny for a stream one day.
Joey, that hasn't changed. My handwriting is
Oh
atrocious.
my gosh.
It's absolutely atrocious. I have no problem admitting that right now. I remember it was kind of funny. In high school, I had my mom check something and she goes, "Why don't you ever write notes anymore?" So I did write notes. She goes, "Let me see your notes." And I showed her my notebook. And she goes, "Wow." I go, "What?" She goes, "I didn't think it was possible." I go, "Think what's possible?" She goes, "Your handwriting has not changed since kindergarten." And I was like, damn, okay. It's like, it's a little hurtful,
Mama
but it's
with the
true.
burn.
Yeah, she's feisty. She's feisty.
That is awesome. Yeah, so we'll have John's kindergarten painting class sometime on stream, maybe special edition episode. We can work on your true colors before Life is Strange comes out later in the year.
Hey, bad pun.
Hey, that was a good pun. What you talking about? Starting today, Dota fans, well, this you might not be a fan of. Dota 2 has stated that smurfing will be a bannable offense. The team at Valve will primarily focus on new accounts created after today. That is Thursday, March 25th, for those watching later down the line. However, in some cases, they will manually ban old pre-existing Smurf accounts as well because they feel they are ruining the game. Additionally, if you are found to be selling or boosting accounts, your primary account may be subject to a ban as well. This one's interesting, John. This is one of those things that can have many, many different effects. When you look at the esports scene, for example, a number of different players out there have Smurf accounts so that they can practice new things and try to catch other teams off guard. You have another of like analysts diving into accounts to try to figure out what kind of items are working before they maybe cast a match or before they dive into something. And yes, if you're a official production of like a Valve sanctioned event, then I think as a pro player, you might have a little bit of an ease getting out of this, or as a caster getting out of this a bit. But overall, if you're a collegiate player, if you're a caster for maybe an organization that's not a professional level organization, this could be something where you see a lot of these accounts banned. The other thing I'm thinking of is like new players and old players getting together. Like John is a veteran. He invites a friend to go ahead and play Dota with him. And then the friend jumps in and John's like, "Hey, my account is bringing us up against too high of level players." I almost laughed saying that. But I'm going to laugh anyway. So let's say John and I are playing with a friend and we're pulling in too high of level accounts. So we end up jumping onto a Smurf account saying, "Hey, let's play against some easier opponents to kind of ease you into the game." It doesn't sound like that's really going to be a thing that's available to players moving forward in Dota 2.
Yeah, so I'm mixed because do I think smurfing overall is inherently bad? I actually don't. Because of the reasons you stated there, Joey. There's so many different reasons why people have Smurf accounts. Like, it's not going to be fun, like you said, Joey. If you know, I've been playing, like, we'll use League of Legends for example. You know, we've been playing League of Legends for a very long time. Whenever we introduce somebody new to the game, why in the world are we going to pull them into our MMR rating? Like, why in the world are we going to do that to them? Like, if I'm a new player playing League of Legends, I don't want to have to go up against anybody higher than like a level 4. And I'm talking like level 4, not bronze 4. I'm talking like overall in-game level 4. It's just not fair. Like, if I got into League of Legends right now and I knew nothing about it, I would hate it. Same thing with Dota. If I go to Dota as a new player, I would absolutely hate having to play against people who have played this game for years. It's an unfair advantage. Now, on the other side of that, that's the exact reason why they want to ban this, is because too many people who maybe are kind of hard stuck at a certain level, you know, they're getting frustrated because they can't win, create another account and they feel good about themselves because they're raffle stomping all over new players. I get it. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, when I come across a Smurf in League, Joey, it doesn't really make me upset. It doesn't tick me off or anything. What ticks me off more is just the toxic community, and Dota has the same issue that League of Legends has when it comes to their community. I feel like that's the bigger issue, not smurfing. You know, if you're going to ban accounts, ban the toxic behavior. Have accounts that have a pattern and ban those accounts. And when they create other accounts, you ban those accounts. You don't ban, you know, Smurf accounts just because someone is smurfing, because you cannot sit here and know why that person is smurfing, whether they're doing research for a cast, whether they're trying a new build for an upcoming competition, like you were saying, Joey, or, you know, whether they're with a new player. Like, you cannot sit there and have an algorithm that can determine that. But you can have an algorithm that collects reports on toxic behavior and that can ban people for toxic behavior. I feel like that's where you should be spending your time, is worrying about the toxic players in your community, less the Smurf players, because I would argue that most Smurf players aren't doing it to be malicious. They're doing it because they're trying to try new things without affecting their main account. And with a high-level player trying something completely new, that knocks their skill level down. Yeah, they may be mechanically good, but they're trying something completely off meta, which puts them at a disadvantage also, because they're trying to see how this works in the long term. I feel like this might be the bad move for Dota. Focus on your toxic players, not necessarily on the Smurfs.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest issue here. And one of the reasons is smurfing is causing some of that toxic behavior. If you're playing a game and you end up with this guy who's like I don't even know the tiers in Dota, but let's say Diamond for League of Legends, a high tier player, you're going to come in and maybe not have the best experience because they're such a higher level than you. And that might lead to flaming teammates and such and such. And I think that's what Dota is trying to tackle here. At the same point, it just doesn't really feel like a great solution either. When it comes down to smurfing, like you mentioned, like I mentioned before, people are trying new things. They're trying to find new ways to invite friends into the game. Maybe they're preparing for competitive matches, whether it be collegiate or professional. Again, I would think professional players here get a little bit of a pass. Maybe they have those Smurf accounts pre-created for this purpose by Dota and by Valve. So I really don't know how that part's going to work. But overall, I think the biggest thing that's going to hurt here is for new players trying to come in. If John or I want to invite someone in, now that new player has to play at someone at our ELO. Now, again, John and I are not the highest of ELO, but let's say it's a high ELO player trying to bring a friend in. It becomes a little bit of a difficulty in that situation. So I think for me, that's the biggest issue here, because you're kind of stunting the growth of your own game. Yes, they're going to have maybe a little bit of a friendlier experience as someone coming in with no friends that they're playing with initially, because they're going to be matched up better in matchmaking. But for someone who's trying to bring friends in and potentially make those friends stay in the game, it becomes harder to invite them in initially.
Joey, speak for yourself. I'm Grandmaster and not
In
League
what?
of Legends.
Yeah, I was going to say, please enlighten me.
No,
Yeah, we'll see you on the Howling Abyss Bridge, ladies and gentlemen. That's where John and I belong. But yeah, this is interesting. I'm curious to see how other games in particular take a look at it. I mean, on the mobile side, Heroes of the Storm is still alive. It might be on life support at times, but it is still out there. League of Legends, obviously being the big MOBA out there. How does it react? Is it going to change its Smurf policies in accordance with this? You also look at the mobile games. I don't think Vainglory is really much of a thing anymore, but Honor of Kings is out there, extremely popular. There's a number of MOBAs over in China, especially in just Asia in general, but China in particular has a lot of really popular mobile MOBAs. So I'm curious to see if they end up taking an approach on smurfing now that we've seen someone as big as Dota and Valve taking an approach here. I'm curious to see if it does get rolled back at some point as well. I feel like it might be a little too harsh up front for that player base. Anything else to say on smurfing in Dota, good sir?
Well, I mean, the second point here we have on the notes, but when it comes to boosting and selling accounts, like I think that's completely acceptable to ban those accounts. I'm sorry, but like it's a free to play game, and you shouldn't be making a profit off of a free to play game by leveling up an account and selling it to somebody. That really defeats the purpose. Like, that alone also creates part of the toxic culture in these games, is because, Joe Schmo over here, who's never played League of Legends in his life or never played Dota in his life, for $50 can get a fully unlocked account and is like top tier. And now he's going to queue up with a lot of high skilled players. And now all of a sudden it's really a 4v5, and now his teammates are upset. And now he's like, oh, now they're being toxic to me. I want them banned. Well, no, like you bought an account. Like, the problem here is you buying the account. It's not the other people. Yeah, maybe they shouldn't be toxic, but they have every right to be somewhat upset because you did not earn your way into that skill rating. You did not earn your way and hone your skills to be in that division. It's not fair to the people who put the time and effort in to learn these games. That 100% ban them. You ban the purchase account. If you're caught selling them, all those accounts get banned also. Your main account gets banned. I think your IP should be banned. Selling accounts is stupid and it absolutely drives me up a wall. You eliminate selling accounts somehow, any way you do it. If you are able to eliminate it, I guarantee you will cut toxicity down in your community by quite a bit, because that's where a lot of it comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the league side, One True Prophet in chat brings up a good point. Riot actually has some kind of algorithm in place, apparently, that allows a Smurf account to be moved to a Smurf-based queue. So if you end up playing and you end up outperforming a ton over and over, just like you and I's games typically, John, they might move us into a Smurf-based queue. Where you do get matched up against some other Smurf players and hopefully have a little bit of a better time as you're moving your way up against people who are actually challenging you a bit. Again, that might not be the Smurf's intention overall, but it is a way to kind of combat that in a sense within the game. Other than that, John, I think we just move on from here over to just a little bit more Dota news as we get closer to wrapping up today's episode. We still do have to cover LCS and LEC playoffs today, and it'll be fun to dive a little bit into that before we wrap up. But a little bit more Dota news first. Dota's new animated series, Dragon's Blood, is now streaming on Netflix. I am not the biggest Dota person. I don't really pay much attention to Dota. I know there's one character in there that has like 23 or something skills, and that gives me a little bit of anxiety just thinking about. I have a hard enough time using active items in League of Legends. So just imagining how to use some of these characters is a little overwhelming. But I do like the idea of diving into the lore a bit more, trying to understand a bit more of what Dota is getting at with their story. Why is this happening? Where are we? What is the premise of Dota outside of the actual game mode itself? So I do like the idea of maybe at least giving an episode or two of Dragon's Blood a try here on Netflix.
I have so many other anime shows to watch than this one.
There's so many, dude. I could talk anime for hours.
Like if the fact that My Hero Academia's new season wasn't coming out, I might give Dota a shot here on Netflix. No, I'm sorry. It's going to be a while before I watch it. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. I might give it an episode a try. But yeah, there is definitely some good anime out there. Definitely check that out if you're interested. But if you are a Dota player, now you have that chance of diving into some kind of additional lore with this new animated series on Netflix. Biggest game announcement coming out this week is going to be It Takes Two from Hazel Light Studios and published by EA. It's set to drop tomorrow, Friday, March 26th, and so far is reviewing quite well overall. John, this is by the makers of, I can't think of the name, but what's the prison-based game that we played a little while back? Do you remember what I'm talking about, where you're breaking out of prison?
Where your character was butt naked on Twitch?
Thank you, John. That was not by choice, ladies and gentlemen. I was shoved into a shower. This just got real invaded.
Yikes.
Yeah, so John and I played this prison-based game. I can't remember the name of it to save my life. It was made by EA. It was made by Jose Ferris and Hazel Light Studios. So this is their new adaptation of co-op. This one a little bit more friendly for the family audience, where you're kind of taking on these two almost like yarn-like characters and trying to work your way through co-op puzzles where it really determines itself on, one, being able to play together well as far as communication, but also in-game mechanically trying to make sure, I guess, that you're moving at the same pace of one another and communicating as you're doing it. And there'll be certain sections where you need someone to tell you something from other areas to be able to input into your own area. So very heavily communication-based, kind of like We Were Here, if anyone's played that, or We Were Here 2, another game in that same kind of genre of style.
The game was called A Way Out.
Okay, that was going to be my guess right as this segment ended. Okay. Yeah, so it was a cool game, though. I really enjoyed it. Like, you would do something in your screen, and the screen was kind of cut in half. I could see what John was doing. He could see what I was doing. And there were different parts where it would split, where I couldn't see what he was doing, and I could only see me. And then there were other parts where we saw each other. And then different actions that one another did could lead to other actions available for one another. So I really like that idea of a co-op style play where, in a sense, John's decisions lead to my character's decisions, or the ability for me to open up certain decision trails.
Joey, I saw a little too much of what your character could do on the side screen there. It was not okay. It was not okay.
Yeah. Some things just never change, you know? Well, now you can see me playing with some yarn in this new game when it hits on Friday.
What are you, a cat?
They're like yarn people, my dude. It's kind of like Unravel, that other game over there. But yeah, I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be a fun game to look at. And again, I think it's like A Way Out, where only one person has to buy the game or have EA, whatever it is. What was it, Origin Plus or something at the time, to be subscribed to that service for another friend to jump in and play as well. Speaking of MOBAs and mobile games, LOL Wild Rift its open beta is coming to the Americas. March 29th, again, is that date. So it will be arriving next week, a little bit later than we anticipated. We were thinking it hit the Americas somewhere up in the early January, February type of range. It's taken a couple extra months, probably due to COVID, but it will eventually be coming out later this month. Again, March 29th is when that beta hits our shores here in North America. Last but not least, for the upcoming, Nintendo will be removing a few Mario games from the Nintendo eShop on March 31st. The games in question, we have both the physical and digital copies of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Again, that is a bundle of Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, as well as Super Mario 35 and Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers. All of those will be slaughtered from the store. Mario decapitated off of the eStore, as many people are saying out there, because Nintendo is doing this new thing, John, where they want to play into the... it's almost it's like that sense like you don't want to miss out. How can we get these games? They're coming up right to the end. Are we going to just buy them at the last minute for full price? Or are we going to let Nintendo remove them and the possibility that they resell them later down the line? Really playing with kind of that FOMO action going on in today's society here with Nintendo. I guarantee they're going to sell a ton of them in doing it, but I hate to see a developer almost take that approach.
I hate the fact that you just said decapitating Mario.
That's what they're talking about. They're talking about like killing Mario is like the big thing on Twitter right now. It's like, okay, that's a little dark, but hey.
Poor Mario. Who did it? It had to be Princess Peach because Mario was just so slow rescuing her. My gosh.
Absolutely crazy stuff. The last topic for today is going to be playoffs, John. Let's kick things off with... let's go with LCS first. We're going to switch things up because LCS did kick off and happen.
I had LEC up, Joey.
I have to turn the tables on us. Just like NA did with their bracket. Instead of having the lower seeds play first, they said, nah, not today, fam. We're going to have the high seeds play first. So in our first round, we had C9 up against 100 Thieves. Cloud9 took the victory in a dominant 3-0 performance. I believe both you and I predicted 3-1 C9 in that one. And then in the second matchup, we had TL up against TSM. John predicted TSM 3-2. I predicted Team Liquid 3-2. In the end, Team Liquid did win and did it in one less game than both of us anticipated, winning 3-1 over TSM. Any thoughts on these initial opening round matchups?
Yeah, TSM reverted to their early season form. Like, how in the world are you going to go on an absolute rampage the last several weeks of the split and just absolutely demolish everyone, then fall apart in the playoffs? Oh, wait, you're TSM. That's right. Never mind. Yeah, when it comes to tournaments, they don't perform. Joey, I was giving them way too much credit. And I, on behalf of all LCS fans across the LCS, because we don't exist outside of North America, I would like to apologize for the audacity that was my pick of TSM taking down Team Liquid. I don't know what I was thinking. Team Liquid obviously coming in, laying the smacketh down on TSM. So TL, good job there.
Absolutely. So they move on. It's going to be TL up against C9 in that upper bracket final now. Team Liquid, the winner of the, what do they even call it? The lock-in tournament, I believe, at the beginning of the spring split. Cloud9 with their big major signing of Perks. Both are going to go head-to-head here in the round 2 upper bracket. If we had to make a prediction right now, sir, are you going to take Cloud9, the flag you once wore behind you, to move on in this particular matchup? Or are you going to go to Team Liquid for the win here?
Joey, I have sound panels now. It's better for acoustics.
I know. I miss the flag, though, to be honest. I do miss the flag.
Well, get over it. I'm taking Cloud9. I'm really liking the way they play. They played very, very well against 100 Thieves. They were very dominant. They've been pretty much consistent throughout the entire split. There are times where you've seen them maybe take a step back here or there where they're trying new tactics, trying new drafts. Very happy with the way top lane has been developing for C9 as well. Fudge has really... It took him a little while to kind of figure things out, but he's been playing incredibly well the past several weeks, and against 100 Thieves did very, very well in the top lane too. So I like Cloud9's momentum here. I do think this is going to be a very close series, though. It always is close between C9 and Team Liquid. I think this goes the distance, Joey. I think we're going to get silver scrapes. I think we're going to get 5 games here, and I think Cloud9 will take it in game 5 for a 3-2 series finale.
Sweet, sir. I'm going to take you up on that once again. I'll go 3-2 as well, but I'm going Team Liquid once again here. I do think it's going to be similar to TSM, where Cloud9 is going to have that potential to take the series if they want it, but Team Liquid could continue to show that revigoration we've seen toward the later part of the spring season. I'm hoping they bring it through here. I would love to see Cloud9 win, but in the end, I do think Team Liquid has enough to to really muster up the victory, at least in the winner's bracket, and possibly force that rematch later down the line. Over to the lower bracket, which will start kicking off as well. We have Evil Geniuses up against TSM. John, I do think TSM pulls it back together here. I think it could be close, but I do think TSM will come out in this one. I want to say 3-1, but for the benefit of the doubt, given how bad they played this past week, I will go ahead and say 3-2.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-2 TSM as well. They burned me last week, and rightfully so. They played horribly. It was really bad. It wasn't Team Solo Mid, it was Team Sucky Mid. So TSM not doing so well. I do expect them to bounce back against Evil Geniuses, though. I will say this goes 5 games, though. EG will definitely keep it close. They'll definitely challenge them, and TSM will find some way to pull it out in Game 5.
And as good as these other matches are, John, this could be the playoff match of the week, and that is Dignitas up against 100 Thieves. I really don't know who's going to come out of this, to be honest. 100 Thieves kind of being that Golden Guardians roster in a sense, a lot of those same players coming over, a lot of potential in those young players as well to continue to move this 100 Thieves brand now moving forward into what could be a promising playoff run. Dignitas on the opposing side, really blasting their NA players in general here throughout the season, with everyone talking about imports. Dignitas being a very heavily NA roster has come out and said, look, guys, we continue to win as NA players. It's doable. We're going to continue to show you that. And they did a lot of that showing in the spring season. They could keep it alive here. I'm going to go 5 games, and I think it's going to be 100 Thieves, but I'm going to go with my heart on this one and give the edge to Dignitas coming out and moving on.
I think Dignitas is going to shock a lot of people. I think they already have shocked a lot of people with the whole debate over the import rule, the overreaction of people's interpretation of the import rule is a very hot topic still in the LCS. We're not going to get into it, but Dignitas is showing why developing North America talent is not a bad thing. They are a very, very strong roster that have, to be quite frank, shut a lot of people up, and rightfully so. I like Dignitas continuing on this arc. I like this. I like this redemption for NA player arc that they're currently on. I think they can take it against 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves did not look good against Cloud9. Yes, Cloud9 has imports on it, and I don't care. But Dignitas is playing incredibly well. I think 100 Thieves is going to struggle. I do think they'll be able to figure a couple things out against Dignitas, maybe take a game off of them. I don't know. I mean, you would have to assume 100 Thieves was able to recover from that blowout against Cloud9. They have been an up and down team, all split. It feels like just their performance overall. I feel like Dignitas could take this 3-1, but I agree with you, Joey. To be safe on this, I'm going to go 3-2, but I'm still going to go Dignitas. I don't see a way Dignitas loses unless they throw.
I mean, the nice thing about both teams is there's so many young players with so much potential on them. Both rosters, again, Golden Guardians really did a good job finding these young players and bringing them up. Unfortunately, they did have to move on from them as they moved over to the 100 Thieves roster, but they initially found those players and they found some really promising young talent in them. FBI in particular has done extremely well. Huhi transitioning to support has looked great. The jungler position as well is very well filled with 100 Thieves. So everywhere you look on this roster, there's a lot of youth potential. Same thing with Dignitas. You have a few older players coming in, like Darduck, for example, but the 80 carry for Dignitas, absolutely amazing. Very young talent coming in there. A number of positions on both these teams filled by young players that have almost, in a sense, endless potential of what could come here. And I think this is going to be a good shot for them to take a first run at playoffs or a second run for some of these players, and the ability to move forward and see how they can challenge up against teams of like a TSM, a TL, or a Cloud9.
Okay, first off, Nick, yeah, you probably were not here for my TSM redemption or my Team Liquid redemption arc here in the beginning, but I completely admitted my fault in picking Team Sucky Mid over Team Liquid there in the first round. That was 100% on me. I did not expect TSM to revert to week 1 TSM as bad as they did. So my apologies.
John has apologized, but we're not going to apologize for those great LCS matches up ahead. Again, guys, Team Liquid Cloud9 this weekend, EG, TSM, and last but not least, Dignitas up against 100 Thieves. Go ahead and shoot your predictions to us in chat as well as on Twitter, and we are found at LvLUp Live on their LvLUp Live, and we'll go ahead and take a look at LEC before we wrap up today's show. Over in the LEC, we'll kick things off with the lower bracket matchup, and that includes Fnatic, that beautiful flag you see behind me. They did not have the greatest of seasons here, John. They had a little bit of a rough ending. They did have a player and a coach end up catching COVID. In doing so, all of the players had to quarantine, so they were all quarantined for about 2 weeks. The final 2 weeks, in fact, of the LEC. So you had some really bad matches coming up there. Communication and practice was definitely not on point. Not going to make a ton of cover-up stories for them in a sense. A bunch of really excuses. When it comes down to it, they did play pretty bad overall, but COVID definitely playing a little bit of a role in that. They have now returned to the studio as of today, again, Thursday, March 25th, with their first matchup coming, I believe, tomorrow. So not a ton of in-studio practice time, but they're going to get a little bit in, and then they're going to match up against SK, who has looked like a team that has looked really strong at certain points and really weak at other points. I do think Fnatic will muster up enough to come out of this matchup, but I think it'll be a gritty one. What is your prediction in the FNC SK matchup, John?
I think Fnatic can pull it out. I have faith in them. It may go 5 games. I don't have that much faith in them. I think it can go 5 games. I think Fnatic will pull it out.
T-Spans has made it to chat.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, I think Fnatic will make it out as well. I do think it goes a little bit far. I think I could see it being well, I have to actually check. Is this a best of 5 for this opening series? Do you remember?
I think it should be a best of 5.
I think it is too, but I can't exactly remember. We'll have to double check on that one, but I do think Fnatic comes out by at least 1 game, if not 2, regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and take them to advance. John is as well, and we'll think they'll do it at least decently. I'm going to go 3-2 if it is a best of 5 game. I could see them throwing a few games here and there, given just getting back to practicing. But at the same point, they should be strong enough to force their way past SK here in the lower bracket. Over to the upper bracket, we have G2 Esports up against Schalke 04. John, I think G2 takes this one dominantly. I could see Schalke pulling a game, potentially. I think probably G2 3-0, but I'll go ahead and give Schalke a little benefit of the doubt here in a 3-1 matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to take G2 3-0. I think Schalke 04, much like their soccer club's about to get relegated. Oh, wait, no, they have franchising there. They're not in any danger there. I think Schalke 04 is going to get smacked. G2 is terrifying. And I think Schalke 04 is just going to be that first door on that Reaper meme.
But just keep in mind, I think Schalke beat G2 at least once, if not twice, so far this split.
I know. I understand that. But I feel like G2 is going to be able to bounce back. I mean, you can beat G2 once or twice. It's a best of 1 series. You make one mistake, you can lose the entire game. I think in a best of 5, I think you'd be crazy to bet against G2 in a best of 5.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be a G2 victory if it isn't some kind of miracle came out of Germany here for Schalke 04. G2, regardless, 3-0, 3-1, they will be moving on in both John and I's books, which will bring us to Mad Lions and Rogue in the next matchup. John, I'm going to go ahead and take Rogue out of this one. I think it'll be decently close, but I'm going to go 3-1 Rogue.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because these are 2 teams that had a lot of high expectations. Whether you think they overperformed or underperformed, there's a lot of hype around these teams for a reason. I agree with you, Joe. I think Rogue will take it. Rogue has been the more consistent, more impressive team. Mad Lions kind of feels like they're like the 100 Thieves, if you will, of the LEC. Like they're a good team. They should be playing better, but sometimes they just kind of they're a little lackluster. They're not the same. They don't have that same kind of swag we saw last year with Mad Lions. So I'm going to take Rogue 3-1 as well. But I do think all 4 games are going to be very, very close. I don't think Rogue just runs away with this one. I think Rogue will win, but the games will definitely be close.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there's going to be one runaway matchup in a sense, it's probably going to be that G2 one overall. If you look at on paper, the players of G2 versus Schalke 04, Schalke has enough teamwork to put together maybe one win here and there. I'd be surprised if they get 2. G2 overall, player to player, is extremely talented, very potent as a team, and they definitely have the chance of blowing Schalke out of the water here. But overall, some really good matches. LCS, solid playoff matches this weekend. LEC, same thing here. Rogue and Mad Lions, Schalke 04 and G2, and then Fnatic and SK. A very good-looking playoffs for both sides here of the water. NA, EU, regardless of which side you go for, there should be some great League of Legends action ahead. Anything else you want to say on today's show before we wrap this puppy up?
Why are we wrapping puppies, Joey? That doesn't seem like a very...
Because I am barking to play some game action. I'll probably be hopping on Discord after today's show. I am just feeling it. Want to play some games. Want to have some fun. Again, guys, do keep a lookout not only for this great action in LOL Esports this weekend, but we do have that ID at Xbox/Twitch gaming showcase on Friday. About 100 indie games will be shown there. So if you're into indie games, into discovering that next potential indie talent or finding some gems in the rough, some cool stuff should be shown there. Again, that's like 12 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I believe it's on the Twitch gaming channel to find that one.
Joey, I don't think chat's enjoying your wrapping the dog pun there. But nonetheless, Nation, you don't have to worry about Joey's animal puns anymore because that is going to do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else can get unless they are a part of the Overtime Network. If you have not already done so, make sure you're following the show here on Twitch, whether it's a follow, whether it's a sub, whether you're subbing with your Amazon Prime. Make sure you're following the show here on Twitch so you can watch the next episode of LvLUp Live. Also, LvLUp Live is available on a podcast version called the LvLUp Podcast. And please do leave us a review if you do listen to that. The podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our entire community so much. There are multiple ways for you to reach out to us. Joey, what are some ways they can reach out to us?
LvLUp Nation, whether you have your puppy wrapped up or not, you can find us on Twitter, and that is at LvLUp Live, LvLUp Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook as well at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, come join us live on Twitch. I know most of you guys listen to the podcast, but the live show is fun. Come hang out and chat. You can do so at twitch.tv/OTN Media. This show, Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time, minus a few special occasions here and there. We also have a number of other shows, content throughout the week.
Face palms and chats all around. Make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday, March 29th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your listening and viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always,
level up.